Welcome back, everyone.
Good morning, everybody.
Joe here.
Kevin, and I just want to say happy President's Day from the States. That is right. It is President's Day here.
Yes, it is.
Where apparently our new metric for performative machismo and rugged individualism entails being slowly driven around a racetrack by a driver because despite being 78 years old, you never learned how to drive a car. Happy President's Day, world.
Just clip that. Well, and brighter news.
Right.
We have a great show.
Hey, we do. Really loved the last episode a lot. Surprised that some people on Patreon said it wasn't rated very highly in terms of quality of episode.
Yeah,
I loved it because
I don't get that.
I thought it was a great way to introduce the differences of the three candidates we really followed.
Yes.
Absolutely adored that about it.
All about perspective.
For sure.
And I loved each character's point of view on the show, and I loved
Right.
that we are kind of keeping this separate as the show goes on, right?
Yeah.
We have the White House, we have this campaign trail.
Yeah.
And I love that we're getting all angles of it.
Yeah, the show's definitely going to have to walk, all the way through the end of it, right?
Yeah.
We're going to have to walk some type of tightrope between the Bartlett administration and the campaign trail. That's got to go through season 7, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. And sorry, go ahead.
So no, I was just gonna say, I'm assuming season 7 ends kind of with the inauguration of the next guy.
I would hope so.
So yeah, I feel like that's going to be ever present all the way through.
Yeah, and I love that the last episode gave us that dose of Alan Alda that we really needed.
For sure.
Because it's a compelling character, a very compelling character.
Yeah, Arnold Vinnick is a great character for sure, even though we've only had him in 2 episodes, really. But I really love what we saw from the 3 candidates and the way they used the corn issue in Iowa to kind of highlight the difference. And the takeaway from that episode is Alan Alda's character, Arnold Vinnick, will stand his ground on what he believes no matter what in terms of the political cost.
It was a great contrast to Jimmy Smith's character.
Right, and then Jimmy Smith's character has strong beliefs and wants to stick to them, but ultimately will cave for political expediency.
Yes.
And then you have Bob Russell, who will say and do anything and ultimately stands for nothing, which is why I expect Bob Russell's character to be kind of blown out of the race early.
Yeah.
Maybe not early, but eventually out of the race.
I'm curious as to when that's going to happen.
Sure.
If it's this season, which it probably will be this season, honestly, because I don't know, season 7, they're probably going to start tightening up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's whenever they decide to have the primary. We're starting primary season now. It may be done this season.
Yeah,
because we're more than halfway through. But yeah, we may have the last season kind of just focused on the 2 actual candidates, who I am expecting to be Jimmy Smits and Alan Alda.
I am too. I think at this point, it's like they're both in the opening credits.
They're both in the opening credits. They're both huge television legends. Both of these guys have had massively successful television careers.
And narratively speaking, it makes sense because the show goes out of its way to show you that Bob Russell is not that guy. The show can be cynical, but it is not ultimately a cynical show. And I don't see Bob Russell becoming president.
No, I don't think Bob Russell becomes president. I don't think the show ends that darkly. I think what the show's done and what we kind of expected it to do early on, like when we were just purely guessing, is what if we contrasted what we did in the mid-season election, and in this one we had 2 actual candidates, and both of them are real viable options to be president.
It's a real
then what does it look like? Because now I can tell you one thing. If it is Santos versus Vinnick, there will, until the election's done on this show, I have no idea, and I guarantee I will have no idea how that election ends.
Anybody's race.
Yeah,
I love it.
Which is what you want.
It's exciting.
It's very exciting, and let's be honest, Arnold Vinnick is not a guy I would feel too bad if he was president.
No,
it's like I like this guy.
Somebody on Patreon said, "I wish there was a Republican like him." I'm like,
no,
right?
I agree. It's like contrast with what we have in our world now, and it's like I would love for an Arnold Vinnick or 10 or 20 of them to actually exist and be competitive in that party.
It feels like we're living in the world of Veep, doesn't it?
It's much more that. Yeah. We should go and get started here. I want to thank all of our Patreon subscribers for being here with us and give a special shout out as always to Actuarial Lurker, Balash Foldes, Chris, Coincidence, Derek Peterson, JB Morgan, Jeff, Christy Goverston, NJ, Sudagunda Vorapu, Torgir Linkstad, and WerePanda47. As always, guys, thanks so much for being here with us.
Yes, we're very, very, very happy you guys are here with us. If you're watching us on YouTube for the first time, welcome to our channel.
Hello.
If you might hit the like button for us, please leave us a comment down below and hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on the new content we've coming your way.
If you would like to see a full-length reaction to this and everything else that we have watched or we are currently watching, please check out a link in the description below to our Patreon page. On every show, including The West Wing, we're at least 4 episodes ahead on Patreon of where we're on YouTube. On everything on Patreon, due to copyright law, you will have to sync and watch along on your own source material. Yes. You will only see and hear us. Do you know the music?
I do not know the music.
I don't either.
opera.
Someone let us know. Yeah, that's I'm assuming some of the brilliant people who watch this show can tell us exactly what the music
It
is.
reminds me of the music they use in Philadelphia.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a bachelor tonight.
So I heard.
Abby's in Baltimore with Ellie and what's his name, the new boyfriend.
I hear we like him.
Good to see he can move around now.
Yeah.
Come on, the old lady's out of town.
The old lady will have my head if I don't get you to bed in the next half hour. You're taking her to the opera?
Verdi's Othello. Romantic, huh?
Isn't that the one where the guy kills his wife?
Yes.
Think she won't notice.
Are you sure you don't want me to call Curtis?
I'm good.
Will you ask Debbie to move the president's wake-up call back to 8:30? And I'd like to take a look at the president's schedule for tomorrow. Hello?
C.J. Craig, I'd like you to meet Professor Lawrence
Oh,
Lessig.
that Christopher Lloyd?
Yeah.
He's helping the folks from Belarus write their constitution.
You would have thought they would have written one of those by now.
They have.
Sir, this is Professor Lawrence Lessig.
The future of ideas, that Lawrence Lessig? Founding father for hire, have quill, will travel.
No.
Yeah, he's going to want to hang out with this guy.
Yeah.
The president really needs to get...
Oh, I think we can spare 5 minutes to discuss the roots of democracy. That is, if the professor has the time.
It would be an honor, sir.
5 minutes is going to turn into 3
Yeah,
hours.
It's going to be all night now, isn't it?
The latest in comparative
Move his
constitutional
wake-up call to 9:30 now.
Yeah. That's the sad thing, right? Is that Jed is such an interesting guy and he's so interested in things.
Right, yeah.
And it is a debilitating disease to where like it's one or the other, man. You know.
I feel like after the China thing, he's got to be really serious about, I can only push myself so far.
Yeah.
And he's definitely not heeding that.
He's headstrong, man.
Yeah. We were told not to look at the guest list at all in this episode.
Okay,
I'm assuming Christopher Lloyd is probably in it. but we were cautioned.
I gotcha. Well, if that's the case, I wonder if there's somebody else going to show
Right.
up.
I would think so. If we've already had the Lloyd spoiler. I almost never look anyway.
After a certain point, I'm like,
Right.
okay,
I'm always just tied into the show.
Yeah.
12:15 in the morning.
Jeez.
Hopefully he was in bed way before that.
Yeah.
She gonna get a phone call now? Time to get up.
I wonder.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Oh, well.
Oh, okay. She fell asleep for a while.
United Britannia flight from London to New Delhi went off radar over the Caspian Sea an hour ago.
We think it was a crash?
It's too early to tell. Plane was off course and drifting into Iranian airspace.
Yes, of course we understand. And this is a terrible tragedy, but...
Do you think the president's gonna be mad that his wake-up call was so late?
Probably, yeah.
You wake up the guys at state?
And they suggested we invite the British ambassador for breakfast. I thought you liked Lord John.
I adore Lord John.
Oh,
Oh,
please
he's
tell me
coming
Lord
back?
John Marbury's going to be on here.
Let's do it.
Of course.
We think they accidentally left the autopilot in heading mode.
Do you see the trajectory of the plane?
I'm sorry, are we waiting for the president?
No. Do we have any reason to believe the Iranians were involved?
We've been flying RC-135s off the northern coast of Iran.
Spy planes. You think the Iranians mistook the flight for a U.S. spy plane and they took a shot at it?
It's possible.
We're gonna have to find out what happened up there.
We're talking to the Israelis.
I want updates every half hour.
Did the president get into it with Prime Minister Grady?
He wasn't on the call. Do you find it odd calling a high-ranking Iranian official Chet?
Prime Minister Grady, she tends to overreact.
She's a runaway train.
The president usually likes a heads up.
He'll be awake in a few hours. Make sure I get those updates.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, everyone wants her to wake up the president.
Yeah, we're gonna need to pare this down.
This is cool. This is panning out.
Yeah.
10:30. I'm meeting with Miss World.
She's from Bhutan. I have her bio so you can be prepared.
For Miss World.
Leo always thought that as a show of international good faith, we should accord all due respect to
Pretty girls everywhere.
Leo, you dog.
Yeah.
Constitutional choices.
Amazing how tricky emergency powers are.
Okay.
So do you write that in the Constitution, or does that lead to abuse?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Building a new democracy. How do you shape a new world?
Right.
This is the satellite surveillance of the Caspian Sea from the time the plane went off radar. 2 jets flying out of the Iranian airbase in Rasht on course to intercept the United Britannia flight.
Call the switchboard, ask them to wake the president.
Yeah.
It's time.
Now there was an actual military act.
For sure.
Mr. President, we think the Iranian Air Force mistakenly shot down a British commercial airliner.
What a crap
Good
way to
morning.
die because of a mistake like that.
I know.
If the Iranians were aiming at our plane, it'd at least provide some explanation for their actions.
Grady gets revved up and starts quoting Churchill.
Yes, sir.
Sir?
We condemn the attack by Iran against 109 innocent men.
Now the issue is that he slept too long to get this phone call in.
Yeah. So she probably should have woken
There
up.
can be absolutely
Yeah,
no
that's-
justification.
That conversation's going to
I
happen.
guess I'll have to wait till she's off camera. They must have had something they haven't shared, or she wouldn't have been getting all Hans and Franz in prime time.
Mrs. Bartlett,
Hello there. Around the time I noticed my husband wasn't in bed, I checked the bathroom, the sitting room. He was nowhere to be found.
So now it's going to be two different directions coming at her here.
Ma'am?
I thought we agreed to let him sleep.
I let him sleep until I couldn't let him sleep anymore.
Yeah.
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 He's still the president, as much as that sucks.
Different circumstances.
Right.
Otherwise, you're right.
How late was he up last night?
Ma'am, I let him sleep as long as I could.
There's only so much that she can do.
He's
the president.
Forcibly put him in his
right,
bed.
yeah, exactly. She told him, go to bed.
Yeah.
We thank you for having us.
Yes, Is that a copy of our Constitution?
Yes. President shall be commander of Army, Navy, etc. It says Congress shall have
Congress
power
declares
to
war,
declare
yeah.
war.
Yes. Theoretically, Congress needs to.
Theoretically. So your habit is to ignore document.
No. Well, occasionally.
It's very complicated.
Gentlemen, let's begin. This week I hope to embark upon a conceptual journey into the world of democratic theory.
The United Britannia flight was shot down by 2 Iranian fighters.
Since the early hours of the morning, the president has done everything in his power to assist the British.
Yeah, but don't say president.
The White House has done everything in its power?
Yeah.
It's going to make it sound like he got a good night's sleep.
He didn't.
Gerald!
There he is.
Oh, he's coming in at 11 already.
CJ Craig, we've met a number of times.
Yes. Where's Gerald? I do hope he's recovered.
Leo has moved down the hall.
Demoted on account of a heart attack. That's cutthroat. So you're the new Gerald?
I suppose.
Yes.
John, thank God. Kate Harper, may I introduce you?
I'm Lord John Marbury, presently the British ambassador to the United States.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, isn't it? Prime Minister Grady's own party thinks she's soft on Iran.
But we think this might have been a mistake.
Possible the Iranians thought they were shooting at a U.S. spy plane.
You've been spying on their nuclear facilities.
Yes.
Either the Iranians deliberately killed innocent British and American citizens, or they tried to shoot down your spy plane because they wanted to continue building nuclear weapons.
And that's fair.
One need not reread Thucydides to see this as an opportunity. Of course, the Prime Minister must demand remuneration for the victims.
We all know the Ayatollah will never pay, let alone apologize for anything.
So now we're talking about bombing.
What was the president's reaction to Prime Minister Grady's address?
I haven't discussed it with the president.
Were we consulted before the Prime Minister's address?
I love how they cut it, too. It's always
Yeah.
so stressful. You're like, whoa.
She called it a monstrous crime. Is that how the president
was scheduled to address the nation at 6.
Hey, what's the TikTok?
It's a minute-by-minute accounting of the president's actions, the press.
Often asked for during a crisis.
These electors are elected by the people upon the premise that they will vote for him. I can go through it one more time if you'd like.
No.
Yeah, they're trying to understand the Electoral College, and it's like, we don't get it either.
I was thinking maybe we should push beyond American-style government.
Push beyond?
Perhaps this time would be better spent discussing a parliamentary system.
We don't want parliamentary system.
Okay. No. Sir, your country has a history of brutal dictatorship. I don't think a strong executive is such a good idea. Half the faculty at Yale Law describes the American presidential system as for wreaking havoc on over 30 countries around the globe. It is a recipe for constitutional breakdown.
Oh. So other countries have tried to copy our Constitution and failed.
Mm-hmm. The Iranians have spread out their nuclear facilities. We don't even know where half of them are.
Well, we'll bomb the half we can find. Abigail, blanket my loins. I'm tied to the stake.
Oh my God.
Blanket my loins.
The president needs a break.
Okay.
He was up late last night. He was up early this morning. He needs a break.
Maybe you should just check with CJ.
You could do that. Or you could go back in there and get my husband.
This is a conversation she should have with Jed. I don't think putting his staff in the middle of it is the right answer.
For sure.
It's an impossible position.
Yeah, he'll listen to her, for sure.
Yeah.
He went back to the residence?
First lady wanted him to rest.
Yeah.
Wasn't quite clear on the chain of command.
Really is fine.
I wouldn't know what to do either.
Yeah.
Only 4 presidential democracies have lasted longer than 30 years. Hamilton, Jefferson, Madison, they got lucky. British Prime Minister is a unifying national figure.
Prime Minister Grady is weak.
She's subject to the people's representative, so she can be ousted if she summarily starts locking people up who don't like the White Album. This document isn't about President Leaches. It's about the 60 guys who come after him. You need systemic protection, safeguards.
Blew their minds.
Your 12:30 is here.
Oh, that's what they all were like. Oh.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
Yeah.
Toby for a second.
Nope.
Gerald!
Sweetheart in heaven.
I'm so glad they're together again.
Too long.
I really can't believe that we still let him in the building. French are fine.
Excellent. You take
Instead of
the
Lord
French, I'll
Maverick.
take Chet and Kate can stay and entertain Lord Liberty Jib.
Toby, didn't you ask for the Asian carp report?
No.
You sure?
Pretty sure.
They're just to check her out.
Yeah.
You're the man.
Ed and Larry.
I'm still waiting for the TikTok. Why wasn't the president on the early call with Prime Minister Grady?
So that would be a no.
I got a tip from The Guardian he wasn't on the call. Annabeth, if the president wasn't up, the country has a right to know.
Maybe now would be a good time to talk to Toby.
Leon Papalden, Wangchuk.
Right. This is Gordon. He's a famous journalist from the Washington Post.
Oh, smart.
Really?
Well, yes. I think
She's so
this is
good.
just quite
Yeah.
important.
Should
Would you
save Toby's
excuse
butt
us?
too.
Sure.
Yes, sure.
And he's in love.
Yeah.
You have to control the British. They are jeopardizing more than just the nuclear talks.
They're understandably upset.
Maybe. President Ali Johnny is worried about the future of our reform movement.
Which is why the Ayatollah needs to apologize.
And even if it were in his best interest, the Ayatollah is a very proud man. But if you cannot control the British...
He's not going to be apologetic in the face of saber rattling from the British.
Nope.
You gotta believe in the future of Iran. They got garage rock bands and pro-America rallies. The reform movement has gained a lot of ground over the past 10 years.
Just got a call from the First Lady. She wants to cancel the president's address tonight.
Excuse me?
That's not her call.
Pretty much what I said.
I'll talk to her.
Good.
I think CH's got to win this fight.
Yeah.
Why is she with Gordon?
He was asking for the TikTok.
How long do you think we can...
I bet thinks quite a while.
After China, Abby and I met with the doctors. We came up with a plan. Of course, getting him to cooperate is another story.
What you have to ask yourself at the end of the day is, would it have made a difference if he'd been awake?
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Can you believe these people? Hoynes, Vanek, Walken, pick one.
Yeah, they're all
Apparently, when you're
campaigning.
Campaigning for the American presidency, there's no need for nuance. You talk to the Iranians without me.
Here it comes.
She's in the middle, just taking the punches. Yeah.
I need to manage this crisis. I needed to be in those meetings.
We handled the meetings.
All I have in this situation is influence. Do you know how many hours I have set with the Iranians, with the French, with Prime Minister Grady?
From the moment that Iranian pilot pulled the trigger, Prime Minister Grady was writing speeches. So no, had you been in London on her doorstep this morning, I don't think you could have reined her in. I'm pretty sure you don't think you could have either.
Whoa.
That's a good point.
She's probably right, but she came in kind of hard there.
She did.
I guess that's her job.
It's her job.
She's the chief of staff is the one person who seems to really get pushback with him.
For sure.
President's speech is in the printer.
Oh my God, she's trying on the tiara for him.
Dandy.
We're giving them a 2-hour lunch after wasting the morning on a system of government that's never going to work for these people. You're not planning on writing a constitution this week?
Are you familiar with Mayor versus State of Nebraska? Where in the Constitution does it say you've got a right to teach German in school? I'm saying the document is just the beginning.
Yes, that's true.
These Belarusians don't have those values.
Our most important job is to instill those values in their leaders through discussion and debate. Mr. Lepecki is the most respected judge in the country, Mr. Zubikov. Mr. Zubikov is the editor-in-chief of Sovetskaya Belarusia. His articles help bring down the last dictator. How many guys do you think it takes?
Yeah, that's really good writing.
Yeah.
She didn't wake me up this morning.
Okay.
I was awake this morning. I could have.
What? Likely as not, you would have made things worse.
Damn it, Leo. 5 minutes ago, you were telling me to leave it all out on the field. Now you're telling me to stay off it?
I'm telling you to let her do her job so you can do yours.
Ma'am, I can't have you confusing my staff. If you have a question or concern, I need you to come to me.
What if I can't find you?
Find me.
What a crap job CJ has right now.
I know.
He needed to sleep.
Yes, I agree with you. The mistake was not making the decision on my own. It's not a medical decision. It's a question as to whether the leader of this country needs to be informed about something that puts the country's citizens in jeopardy.
He's not managing his disease.
You're gonna have to take that up with him, ma'am.
Yeah, that's the real thing.
There you go.
We believe this is an Iranian fighter calling into military radar ground control in Rasht.
Unable to establish visual contact with RC-135?
They thought it was our plane.
You are instructed to fire.
And the reform movement in Iran has real promise.
The Iranians have a ballistic missile that reaches 2,000 kilometers.
How long do you think we can wait for democracy to sweep through Tehran?
We threatened to make this public. The Iranian Air Defense Command couldn't tell the difference between a commercial airliner and a spy plane. It's a little embarrassing.
There you go. That's smart.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of 3 or 4 bombs. It's a matter of 300 or 400, and this regime will not be afraid of selling to the highest bidder.
It's got to be middle ground somehow.
Yeah.
And have Chet get word to the Ayatollah. He can apologize now or after he reads about it in the Times.
You do realize the Ayatollah will be embarrassed and weakened.
Diplomacy, John. The job of statesmen.
Tell the networks they can have their time back.
The Iranians are apologizing?
He's still there. Wow.
That poor
I
girl.
look down my nose at beauty pageants.
You know what the story's going to be?
They're going to be writing MS stories till the end of this administration. Give them the TikTok.
For sure they are, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
You've got to trust me to make these decisions, or there's no point in having me in this job. I spoke to Mrs. Bartlett. From now on, I'll be making the wake-up calls on my own, and your MS won't be a factor in my decision. You need to take care of yourself, because there are going to be mornings when I'm going to have to wake you at 3 a.m.
But you're wearing to the opera?
You have a 7 a.m. call in the morning. I cancel the opera.
Abby, I can manage my health without you taking my pulse every...
This is the conversation that needed to happen.
Yeah.
I was talking to Professor Lesser.
Shove it. Hours sleep. With MS, you're out of your mind.
Stop treating me like a child.
Just stop acting like one.
Yeah. Well,
That's really well told, actually.
It is. Well, I would never want a set of headphones more than that right there.
Yeah, some Bose headphones.
Yeah.
But this episode, once again, highlights CJ's role and how difficult and impossible it seems.
It is.
And she's largely, like, ever since she took over from Leo, every episode set in the West Wing is largely focused on CJ.
Well, yeah, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, well, how much of it was focused on Leo before? I think it was less, but you have to remember we've lost a lot of the central cast, right?
Yeah.
Josh and Donna are on the road.
Yeah.
Sam's gone. He's been gone, but then we also had Josh Molina go too.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, really of the central cast, you really just kind of have CJ and Leo that are still there.
Toby. But Toby's
CJ and Toby, yeah. And very little bit of Leo.
Toby's taking a back seat, though.
Largely, a little bit.
You know, but he's still there. He's still great in the show. But, I really find it fascinating, though. I'm not saying it's a bad thing whatsoever.
Right.
I love seeing CJ
Oh, I do
step
too.
up
Yeah,
like
she's a powerhouse on the show. I mean, she's the one that's winning all the Emmys. Right.
Amazing.
But yeah, plus, now that we're dividing the show up between the White House and the road, everything's going to get just a little bit less time than you'd kind of like, just out of, structural necessity.
Sure, absolutely. And it was... I want to see if do you think that we see the UN the next episode or the episode after, whatever they're going to do?
I don't know if that's the whole storyline or not. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It sounds like we kind of wrapped up that. Like so. They canceled his address to the nation because it wasn't necessary. Mm-hmm. CJ kind of laid out everything that was about to happen. I think we might be done with it. Maybe.
Yeah, it's hard to tell with the show too, especially since they're going in such a new direction as well. It was great to see Lord John Mayberry back. Marbury, yeah. Thank you. Always love seeing him. He's a fantastic character.
He's
had some
terrific character, right?
Had some real scene-stealing moments in this episode.
Of course. This is, the most kind of warmongering we've ever actually seen from him, though. There's a lot of nuance to his character, of course, but usually he's like the voice of reason, trying to talk everybody down, and that was not the case in this one. For obvious and completely fair reasons.
For sure. That's why I caught myself being like, all right, well,
there's a country building nuclear bombs that want to kill us. That's where we are.
That's why I was like, when he was saying those points, I was like, well,
you make great. Yeah, absolutely, it's very complicated. That's the beauty of this show is, there's not an oversimplification of any of these issues. They're complicated issues, and they're treated with the severity of kind of how they exist in the world.
We've seen a lot of complicated issues lately too.
Yeah,
a lot this season. So I'm enjoying it. It's very thought provoking.
Yeah, would be surprised if we aren't back on the road at least a little bit with the campaigns next episode.
Willing to bet. That's so far we're going back and forth. I wonder if next week will be like another road episode.
Right.
I don't know, but I'd be cool with it.
Yeah, I would too. I appreciate it, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
See ya.